NTV signed on the air as KHOL on Christmas Eve in 1953, but the anticipation among residents for Central Nebraska's first television station started well before that. Construction on the tower had begun earlier that year, and people would gather at the site from miles around to see this structure rise from the farmland. The excitement could not be contained.
What's great about NTV, going back when the station first signed on the air in 1953, we were the first game in town. We were the first television station to broadcast a signal. And we've talked to people that for about a week before programming started, the station was broadcasting a test pattern. And this is, 1953. And people would go, they would gather, like six families would come over to the one house that had a TV, and they'd sit and they'd watch the test pattern. So excited about what this whole world of television was going to be like. And I truly believe that we have been a part of people's lives since 1953.
One woman remembers how her own father nearly missed her wedding in anticipation of Channel 13's first signal.
We were married December 24th, 1953.
The same day that Channel 13 came on the air. And my father was dearly in love with TV. So I didn't think he was even going to go to the wedding. He sat in his chair right in front of the TV, watched snow, until my mom finally made him get up and get ready and go.
Once the station began broadcasting programming, neighbors would gather at whichever house on the street owned a TV set to watch such programs as The Jack Benny Show and I Love Lucy, as well as local news, weather, and market reports. KHOL increased its power five-fold in 1954 and received over 78,000 letters from grateful viewers within the first 4 days. From the beginning, NTV became a second family to our viewers, working every day to lay the groundwork to serve the vast, loyal viewership.
This station, KHOL, was originally a CBS affiliate, and there was a time where the station was in danger of losing that affiliation. 75,000 letters went to the post office, and there's pictures in this newsletter this high of people saying, please don't take away our television station. Can you imagine that? I mean, letters from all over this area, because again, we were the very first television station, so we are part of their viewing habits. They have stuck with us. We're no longer CBS, we're ABC, and people watch us. We're a part of their family.
Even our own anchors recall growing up in Central Nebraska watching NTV.
Growing up in Grand Island, NTV was one of our sources, of course, for news, weather, sports, and it was KHOL back in those days. Even when I was a senior in high school, Bob Geiger was a weatherman here at NTV and an institution and remains an icon.
I do remember watching NTV growing up. I still remember going home from games and turning on the sports on NTV and watching the sports guy give the scores and giving some highlights. And I remember watching the news growing up in Grant and McCook as well.
From the early days, the station's management knew that properly serving the community would require becoming an active member of that community. Carnivals, complete with midway rides, were held at the station annually and included up-close tours of the station for interested viewers. In the 1970s, NTV began to broadcast live telethons, complete with A-list talent to support the National Cerebral Palsy Organization. Gary Stratman, part of the NTV production crew for those events, remembers this.
And they were broadcast live from Cushing Coliseum in Kearney. And we'd have big names, Leonard Nimoy, Meredith McRae. In '77, we had a Stark fly in. When he left, he was telling the crew, he said, I am flying back to LA to make a movie about disco dancing. And that gentleman was John Travolta.
To go along with a commitment to the community, NTV made a promise to be your station for the most relevant local news every day. As technology has improved, so too has NTV's coverage. In the 80s, weather was computerized, and the studio was remodeled to add a computerized weather center. A Grand Island Bureau was established in 1982, and a live van was added in 1986. In 2006, NTV became one of the first television stations in the country to generate a community-based news site, Community Correspondent. NTV's commitment to bringing our viewers news that matters the most to them continues today. Our team of anchors and reporters understand and connect with the people and the stories they cover. Most of the staff, on air and off, grew up right here in Central Nebraska and have deep roots and ties within their communities.
Everyone on the NTV news team has a connection in some way to a small town in Nebraska or a small town elsewhere, and they use that to help draw on their experience of what a newscast should look like. And so that helps us meld everything together so that it becomes a uniquely Central and Western Nebraska product.
I think we're pretty lucky that the station is located essentially in the Tri-Cities, Kearney, Hastings, and Grand Island. And we have people living in each of those major cities. And you never know what story you're going to hear about living in the community where we cover these stories.
We're really connected to the community with sporting events, with things at the Opera House, and just around Main Street as well. For a while I was the Chamber of Commerce president in Minden, and that was fun just to see the different businesses, how they work, and hopefully lend a little bit of a helping hand to the community. We
really enjoy the community of Hastings. We've got family there. We are active in the church. It's always been an important part of our life. So it feels good to be a part of a community.
I am a Grand Island kid. I grew up in Grand Island, very active in theater, debate, drama, and started in broadcasting in Grand Island when I was 15 through the Explorer Scouts organization. A lot of great memories in Grand Island, growing up in Grand Island, being part of the community, part of the church, and I remain that way.
I've lived in the area for so long now that I do feel connected, and I want to be informed with what's going on around me, just as much as any viewer does. And I do feel like I have a connection to the community, and that connection I want to be able to bring to NTV and tell other people what's going on. And I think that's really important. And that makes NTV a part of a community by having people that work here and live here.
Because NTV is your station, where your news comes first, we have a strong commitment to the people of Central and Western Nebraska. NTV produces nearly 35 hours of live local programming every week. This is more than any other group of television stations in our market. Your station starts bright and early with Good Morning Nebraska at 5 a.m.
Good Morning Nebraska, that's our show that we have. It starts at 5 in the morning, runs till about 7. Try to get people to start off their day with us so they know exactly what they're going to face.
Viewers, first of all, they wake up to friendly faces in the morning, and they're told into what to expect for the rest of the day. Not just what happened yesterday, but what can I see when I step outside in the morning, and what am I going to expect when I go to work at the water cooler. It's a show that can be informative and tell you what to expect, but also have a little fun and enjoyment while you're getting ready for the day.
Let's try to get them caught up on what they might have missed while they were sleeping during the overnight hours. And then, of course, we give them a weather forecast every 10 minutes. That way they can get their day started right and know exactly what they're going to be facing weather-wise.
When I think of NTV and where your news comes first, that's the main thing, is that we focus on you, the viewer. And we focus on local things as much as possible. Yes, we do give you the national news that you need to know as well, but we really like to see the pictures that viewers send in and the stories that viewers see and want to hear about. That's what we really focus on, and that's what makes NTV very special.
In 2007, NTV's Good Life hit the airwaves. This hour-long program airs at 9 every weekday morning, showcasing local talent, businesses, and organizations, and reaching out to viewers with an interesting story to tell.
The Good Life is a local viewer-driven show.
It involves people, places, events, getting people from the community involved and participating in discussions with us about things that are taking place in their very own backyard.
With the help of the Good Life guy, Zach Ritchie, NTV's Good Life is able to go out in the viewing area and reach the heart of the community. Zach finds the best local attractions in his one-tank trip segment, discovers unique local cuisine on his food finds, and highlights area entrepreneurs with Made in Nebraska.
We are your station, and these are the people in your community, and so we want you to know who they are and what they're doing, how they can benefit you. We look for people who are doing something in the community, that have a story to share, that are impacting other lives. And when we look for story ideas, we look for people that maybe are connecting with other people, connecting with other businesses, connecting with other communities.
At noon, Marilyn and Tim take over again to bring an hour-long lunchtime update of the day's events. More than any other show we put on the air, NTV News at noon focuses on the bread and butter of the Nebraska economy, agriculture.
Our noon show is a more comprehensive treatment of farm news than is available anywhere else in our market, at least as far as television stations are concerned.
We try to take a look at agriculture and how business impacts producers, but not only just producers, but how the agricultural side can affect the consumer in every single one of us and how it relates as a whole. And growing up on a farm myself, I do know how important it is for people to get that information, especially for farmers or ranchers, but to also relay that to a consumer in a way that's understandable is pretty vital.
I grew up on a farm. I know what it's like. I know what the noon hour usually is made up of when it comes to farmers in the area. They usually take their break, maybe run down to the local cafe and talk with some area farmers, and so a lot of our noon show is agricultural related.
We have the only standalone separate market broadcast in the market, and we also do farm news and features that are germane to what our ag producers are trying to accomplish. Like, we follow what the trends of the market are, and we give it out information about planting trends and how to most effectively produce and market your crop.
In the evening, NTV's veteran group of trusted anchors brings a recap of the day's events and analysis of important issues affecting the everyday life of Nebraskans with half-hour broadcasts at 5, 6, and 10.
The news we cover at NTV is important to our viewers, and that sounds like kind of a throwaway line, but what makes NTV News unique and different from other stations is simply that we focus on the viewer.
The main goal of NTV News is to demonstrate to our viewers every day that we care about them and that we want to tell them the stories that will affect their lives. And it's not Lincoln's news, it's your news. And it's important for us to, be that and demonstrate that and execute that every day.
There's a lot of thought that goes into our stories each and every night. We meet a couple times a day and really decide, is this a story that our viewers want? Would this educate them? Would it inform them? Or maybe it might even entertain them. So we look at a lot of different criteria, and I think that stands out in the stories that we bring each and every night and every morning and noon as well.
Every night of the week, you're going to see the top story of the day from Grand Island. You're going to see whatever it is that's happening in this community, it's going to be on NTV. There's not a story from Grand Island that means something to people that we miss. We're there, we're part of those stories, we're on top of those things. If there's news in Grand Island, you can turn to NTV and we're going to have it.
I truly believe that we have been a part of people's lives, and they have made our station part of their lives. And they watch us, and the loyalty that this station has is unbelievable.
It's my news. When I watch it, I hear what's happening in my community and in our Central Nebraska region, and that's important to me.
When you call someone here and you say, I'm with NTV, they're like, oh, yes, what can I do for you? Versus other television stations, there was not that instant credibility and trust, and I think that comes from being such a part of this area for so long.
NTV News is unique because we pay attention to the details of people's lives in the small towns and the communities in central and western Nebraska.
I just think that they look at us as family, and what an honor and a privilege. And that's always the philosophy that I have when I'm delivering the news, is that I'm a friend that's being invited into someone's house to tell them what's going on today. So it's a responsibility I take seriously and take it to heart.
In the fall of 2010, NTV began a new news program at 6:30, Good Evening Nebraska.
Good Evening Nebraska is an opportunity for us to place a stamp on another time of day when people are hungry for news.
Good Evening Nebraska allows our news team the chance to go further in depth and expand our coverage to be sure we get every angle of a story relayed to our viewers.
We also have some unique content concepts in there, including a roundup of what's happening locally in the construction business. We also have a unique tech sector talking about new tech ideas that are affecting our viewers, and we also just recently begun a farming sector that we broadcast once a week, where we take a look at families that have committed themselves to the family farm. We take a look at young people who have committed to a career in agriculture. We look at how farming is becoming high-tech.
Good Evening Nebraska is rebroadcast on KFXL weeknights at 9, exposing the NTV News brand to an entirely new set of viewing eyes during primetime hours.
The rebroadcast of Good Evening Nebraska on KFXL gives us a unique opportunity to extend our NTV brand to another platform. Our KFXL viewers, and the ratings have borne this out, have shown that they prefer our broadcast to the other products that are available out there right now.
And because news and weather don't stop on the weekends, NTV works all weekend to bring Central and Western Nebraska their news on Saturdays at 6 and 10 and Sundays at 5:30 and 10.
NTV News produces 2 separate broadcasts each day on Saturday and Sunday to make sure that our viewers can keep up with what's happening locally across Central and Western Nebraska, and also, very importantly, to keep up on what's happening as far as weather so that people can make plans for their weekend activities.
Covering the news in Nebraska demands a commitment to the weather, and NTV has made sure to place itself among the leaders in the field with our First Alert weather team.
We have a fantastic team here. You don't want a different team if you're going to be in Tornado Alley. You know, we're going to have the latest information for you, the most precise, especially with Kent Boughton, 30 years of experience. We have many, many years of experience between all of us, and we have a wide variety of specialties and skills that we all bring to the table.
As severe weather season rolls in each year, it's important for our viewers to have a weather team with a passion for what they do, bringing them the most accurate information around the clock.
We live in the heart of Tornado Alley, which makes covering Nebraska's weather very exciting. We have the opportunity to follow storms, track them on live radar. We have one of the best weather systems in this entire market.
I specifically wanted to be a meteorologist in Tornado Alley. I've been chasing storms for a long time, and before that I was just extremely interested in the weather out here. And so to bring the weather to people out here and be able to give people the information they need to protect themselves is extremely important to us.
It's so exciting because you're not really sure from one day to the next exactly what you're going to be facing, and that's why I think it's such an important job that we have here covering that weather, trying to keep our viewers safe.
The First Alert weather team goes beyond the on-air anchors. NTV takes advantage of trained weather spotters to relay information that you can't receive from computer models.
Our Weather Spotter network is very important to what we do here at NTV. It's kind of 2 distinct features. We do have some storm chasers that actually go out, follow storms, relay back to us information on severe weather that's occurring.
They're hooked up to the internet with Skype, with streaming video, and they are our heart and soul out in the field. They can be live anywhere there's adverse weather activity, not only report back to us, but show us live to the second what the weather is doing at that moment.
And then we also have several members of the community all over the viewing area that are able to tell us what's going on in their backyard.
Our coverage doesn't stop at the end of a newscast. As technology continues to improve, we're able to provide viewers with pertinent information no matter where they are. Whether it's on our website, on the radio, or via text message with text casting, our weather team works to get viewers the information they need to stay safe.
NTV has a great deal of technology to get the word out to our viewers. We have school closing crawls. We have information that goes up on both our Fox station and our ABC station that warns our viewers. We have high definition radar. You can tell the color, the clarity. It's the best in the market. We're the source that everyone in Central Nebraska turns to. That's why we remain #1, because of our dedication in the First Alert Weather Center.
When the weather does cooperate, Fridays in Nebraska usually belong to high school sports. Entire communities show up to support their local teams, and NTV is there as well. Fridays during the fall and winter seasons, NTV sends camera crews all over the viewing area to cover as many games as possible and runs them all down during a separate program following the 10 o'clock newscast, Sports Extra.
Sports Extra has been on the air for a quarter century and still remains as the only standalone high school sports highlights show in Nebraska. We dedicate a special half hour every Friday night during the high school sports season to showing off what our local athletes can do.
People around here are a little crazy about their high school teams. They're all very passionate about it. That phone goes off the hook for about 2.5 hours. Ring, 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 ring. Everybody wants to get their scores in because they want to see their scores on the Sports Extra show.
The thing that's unique about Sports Extra is that it plays a role in validating the effort of local athletes in our small towns and recognizing also all of the work that goes into supporting those athletes, not just by the coaches in schools, but also by the parents.
I think it means a lot to the schools that we cover so much of their sporting activities and sporting events. It's a lot of fun to be able to get out to the games because all the fans are out there. They'll pack the stands. The community support was pretty fantastic.
While high school athletics can create good-natured rivalries and competition among our viewers, there is one sports team that unites all of Nebraska.
Husker football is part of the fabric of life in Nebraska.
We do a lot of coverage of the Huskers over the course of the season, and I tell you what, the fans just love everything we do about the Huskers.
Our sports department is more than willing to spend their Saturdays at Memorial Stadium in Lincoln to give our viewers the most complete pregame coverage and postgame analysis of those games aired on ABC, making NTV your station for Husker Game Day.
We're grateful for the opportunity to add extra coverage to our Nebraska football broadcast with special live pre- and post-game shows so that we can add another dimension to our Nebraska football coverage.
NTV News works hard to report news that matters most to the viewers. Because we're your station, we turn to the public to help determine what news is worthy by utilizing social networks in our groundbreaking online public forum, Community Correspondent.
Before Facebook, before Twitter, really this community correspondent website was ahead of its time. And the whole idea was, well, we're a staff of, let's say we have 20 people in the news department. We were empowering people all across our viewing area to be part of our staff, to be our eyes and ears in their neck of the woods. And with technology, you can take pictures of what's going on, and it's a very interactive tool. It's fantastic. So instead of having a staff of 20, I think we have a staff of 7,000.
Well, we decide what we're going to cover each day by taking a look at our community. And we have people who log on to our various social media, community correspondent, and tell us what's going on. And we're looking for content that is unique for our central and western Nebraska community that they can't find anywhere else.
It's been really neat to see some of these correspondents become expert photographers. They'll take pictures, and each single night we go on the community correspondent website. We'll take one of the pictures that they'll shoot, and we'll use that as our picture of the night. It's a staple in our 10 o'clock news. So that's been really neat, and it's been a way to communicate with our viewers as well.
The last thing we do is just report. NTV is involved in our communities. Focusing on the viewers and what's important to them has led NTV to be leaders in many area events. Each year, hundreds of area charities, schools, businesses, and individuals share the airwaves with our experienced team of anchors and reporters. We work together with our community partners to highlight what is so great about our great state. And bringing the talent of our young Nebraskans to light during our broadcast to the Grand Island Chamber's Harvest of Harmony Parade is one of our favorite things to do. Just another proof that NTV is your station.
There's a tremendous tradition involved in the Harvest of Harmony Parade too, because it's been going on for years. Schools from all over the state gather in Grand Island. They march all morning long, and we take them one by one, and we get to, Colleen and I get to anchor that thing.
Well, NTV has done a great job since coming on board a couple of years ago. They've been a little bit more local. They've been here. They've helped us out quite a bit in all of our local promotions. They've done a great job in doing different segments and things of that nature. And whenever we've needed them to do a special spot for us, they've come through on that as well.
And we just have a lot of fun with it. Most of the schools are from our viewing area, so we know a lot about the schools and communities. And it's just proved to be a really good deal for the station, I think, as well. So it's good for Grand Island, it's good for Central Nebraska, and I think it's great for NTV too.
I think some of the outcomes that we've had working with NTV have been the result of a lot of local partnerships and a lot of local participation. We seem to be getting a lot more publicity on the local level, which of course brings more people out to the parade, and we've had quite a bit of uptick, if you would, in our participation for floats and contestants.
2010 marked the first year of the Nebraska State Fair in Grand Island, after having been held in Lincoln since 1906. Looking for a media partner to help promote the event and the move, the fair turned to NTV. The station responded and was out in force.
Well, the State Fair moved to Grand Island in 2010 after 104 years in Lincoln. The first year in Grand Island was very successful, had a little over 309,000 people. And actually the 2010 fair in Grand Island received the highest ratings that the fair had ever received. So it was a very successful fair.
I said, wow, Grand Island really rolled out the red carpet, and they felt welcomed by Grand Islands, but at the same time, they really felt that NTV was part of that and the people that they could trust to tell their stories, whether they were the farm kids coming in to show off their livestock, whether they were the vendors, selling the food on the stick. They knew that if they wanted to kind of get the word out about what they were doing at the State Fair, NTV was the place that they had to turn. And same thing for folks who were coming to the fair. They knew that if they wanted the best information about the fair, that NTV is where they went for that.
The State Fair presented NTV with a unique opportunity to put a stamp on its coverage. And the inaugural State Fair, we did 40 hours of live broadcasting throughout the 10-day period of the State Fair.
We were there really from day one, from the moment that thing got first mentioned, almost 10 years ago. We followed it all the way through the legislature. Will it, won't it happen? To see the governor come here, sign on the dotted line, to see them actually break ground, getting the buildings built essentially in a year's time. One of the things that the fair folks have talked to us about is, NTV, you guys were there right with us every step of the way. They always tell me how much they appreciated us. And it's nice to know that they felt comfortable coming to us and telling their story with us, and we're glad to work with those folks and tell those stories.
We're optimistic about the future of the fair here in Grand Island. That is because of the coverage we received from NTV, and then being on site really helped promote the fair. So I think a good part of the success that we had was a result of that coverage.
In addition to covering all these great events, NTV looks to give back to the community as often as possible. NTV sponsors an annual blood drive that takes place simultaneously in Kearney, Hastings, and Grand Island. NTV also produces and distributes 25,000 copies of a full-color calendar each year for free. The calendar features all the dates and events important to our viewers. Photos for each month are all supplied by the loyal contributors to our online community correspondent website. Right up until the new year, NTV is showcasing the amazing talent we have here in Nebraska. In December, we help our viewers ring in the holidays while showcasing local area musical groups. Nearly 30 local performances are aired each Christmas Eve and Christmas Day on our stations. Through years of community partnerships, the people of NTV have woven themselves and our programming into the fabric of what makes Central and Western Nebraska great. Working with our local hockey team to reward students is just one more way NTV makes sure viewers come first.
We've worked hand in hand with NTV, both on the Storm side and the Event Center side, to really do some community impact type things. We're currently working with NTV this hockey season on a Grades for Blades program that we've done for a number of seasons to be able to put hockey tickets that have a value into the hands of these kids who have either perfect attendance or they're handing in A's, and that's impact.
Being involved with our local chambers of commerce is incredibly important to staying on top of the pulse of our communities.
NTV's been a great community and corporate sponsor of chamber events and other business events in our community. Our community, I think, watches NTV heavily. And so if we promote an event or a training opportunity or something the chamber's doing on NTV, we notice a spike in attendance or in the interest.
The strength of NTV News has always been unique local content and people on our staff who are committed to delivering that content. And so we will continue to look for ways to partner with groups like the State Fair or the Chamber of Commerce Harvest of Harmony Committee or the Kearney Chamber of Commerce and their leadership committee, and look for ways to continue to insinuate ourselves into the fabric of those communities and demonstrate our commitment, not just by saying that we're going to have a commitment, but also by actually executing that commitment.
NTV produces nearly 35 hours of live local programming each week. Add in all of our special programming, and it's evident that NTV is your station where news comes first. Our live programming starts with Good Morning Nebraska from 5 to 7 a.m., which is followed by NTV's Good Life from 9 to 10 a.m. We produce a 1-hour live newscast at noon and have evening newscasts at 5, 6, and 10. Plus Good Evening Nebraska, which airs at 6:30 p.m. on NTV and 9 p.m. on KFXL. We also air 4 weekend newscasts on Saturday and Sunday evenings. And further proof that NTV is your station where news comes first, NTV is consistently the #1 rated source for news, weather, and sports. NTV's television market, the Lincoln-Hastings-Kearney DMA, includes 55 counties, 2 metro areas, and 279,820 TV households. NTV has full market coverage via over-the-air coverage, satellite providers, and wired cable providers. For a number of years, NTV has dominated the ratings in Central Nebraska. Of those people watching 6 to 7 a.m. news, twice as many homes are watching NTV's Good Morning Nebraska than are watching CBS and NBC combined. Of everyone watching the more than 200 channels available, 40% of them are tuned into Good Morning Nebraska. NTV's 5 o'clock news, First at 5, is truly your news. First at 5 boasts more than twice as many homes as CBS and almost 4 times as many homes as NBC. Of all the channels available, 30% are tuned to one station, NTV. The story remains the same at 6. More people are watching NTV's 6 p.m. news than the NBC and CBS stations combined. 29% of all people watching television on all stations are watching your station, NTV. At 10, NTV remains your station with more than twice as many viewers than either CBS and NBC, and is higher rated than both CBS and NBC combined. Of all the channel choices, well over 200, one station stands out with 32% of the viewership, NTV. Since 1953, NTV has been Central Nebraska's trusted source for news, weather, and sports. We work tirelessly to keep all of Central and Western Nebraska safe and informed. Our anchors and reporters are with our viewers before the sun rises until long after the sun is set. The ratings have proven time and again that NTV truly is Central Nebraska's station. But when we say we're your station, we mean more than just a channel on the television dial. NTV has been a member of and an asset to the community. We understand and care about the area and the people we cover. Our staff never takes our relationship with our viewers for granted. Local charities, businesses, and nonprofit organizations look to us as a valuable media partner because of that unique relationship. We are continually looking for ways to give back to our community and can only hope to have given a fraction of what we have received from them. We've grown from our humble beginnings, a single tower in the middle of a field, to where we are today, with multiple transmitters and multiple networks serving a huge part of Nebraska. We are proud to be a part of the heritage of Central Nebraska and a thread in the fabric of our viewers' lives. We look forward to the challenge that tomorrow brings and will strive to be your station for years to come.